All right, guys. So I wanted to do a brand new video for this because this um, is the part that I have to hit home with too. Super important is to understand the CSS box model. This is how, this is what's really going to help you start designing your websites as a designer. So understanding this is super important. Okay, so I'm going to spend some time on it, um, just because it's that important. All right. So the CSS box model clearly is one of the most beneficial factors for, like I said, designers to design their web pages. All right. I talked about this before, just hit on it. Now is when it's going to come to play. So all HTML elements are pretty much boxes. The browser looks at every HTML element as a box. So if it's a paragraph, it's looked at as a box. If it's your uh, div, it's looked at as a box. Any um, your footer is looked at as a box. I don't know why blanks are being drawn right now, but every HTML element pretty much is looked at as a box. Okay, so when the browser um, reads, I thought I had one open. I did, I think. Okay, yeah. So every element, that's why we were able to, in the last video, I was able to go and put a border around each one because each one is looked at as a box. So I was able to put a border around the wrapper right here, which is this wrapper, not border, but a background color, because that's a box. Then I did individual ones, right? The paragraph, that's a box. I was able to do the next paragraph, that's looked at as a box. The fun stuff paragraph looked at as a box. And the H2 paragraph looked at as a box. Okay, so that's why I was able to put certain boxes around boxes because it looks at everything in the box. Okay, so hopefully that helps with that part. Um, so the term box model is mainly used when we're talking about designing and laying out our website. And it's really going to become important, especially when we get into Photoshop and we start putting this together. This is what's going to allow us to actually design the web pages that we want to design and make it look the look that we want it to have. So the CSS box model is really just wrapping its arms. So it's a box that wraps around every HTML element. So within this model, we have margins, border, padding, and content. So I said that with an S, but because it's different margins, but it's actually, when you write it, when you code it, when you talk to it, it's margin, not with an S, margin. If you do margins and you're wondering why your site is not working well, check that to see that you typed it correctly, which is without the S. Okay. So this is an image of what a typical element, right? The boxes that are around it. So regardless if we talk to them or not, if we modify them or not, these things exist. Okay. So inside we have the content. Okay. So the content is the area inside that has like our text, our image, our photos, all of that stuff that we see. That is your content area. Okay, so so this is one element, but these are what's happening around that element. Whether you see it or don't see it, this is what's happening to every element. So every element has content. Then right outside of the content, we have the padding. Remember? So if this is one element, that means that this is one box. Okay. But these things are happening inside of that box. Okay. So we'll pretend if this is the paragraph element, right? This whole thing, I can't highlight it, of course, but this whole thing is the paragraph element. It is a box, right? So inside of that box of that paragraph element, we have the content, right? And that's the stuff that we see. Then right outside of that is the padding, okay? And we don't see this. This is transparent, but it is there, okay? And it is the area, it's inside of the total box, right? It's inside of the box. That is where padding happens. Then we have the the border, right? And the border sits right outside of padding, and that's the border was right here. So this is the content, right? This is our content, the hello world. Then outside of the content is the padding, right? That's the padding that's keeping it away from the edge of the box. Then outside of that is the border. This is the border, right? That's outside. And then outside of that is the margin. And the margin is what, remember I tightened up that margin? The margin is what's keeping each box away from each other. So this would be the box model, right? This is content, this is padding, this is border, and this is margin. So those are the four elements, well, not elements, but those are the four things that are consistent inside of each element, right?